Coming up on Cardinals Insider, 2 former Cardinals take their place in Cooperstown. Hear more from Induction Day at the Baseball Hall of Fame. Plus,
you're true to the person only insofar as representing the truth of a single moment.
Sculptor Harry Weber discusses capturing the essence of Ted Simmons for the corner of 8th and Clark. And later,
oh my gosh, what I just got to do was amazing.
A group of students have a Hall of Fame experience with Simba. Those stories and more ahead on Cardinals Insider. Welcome to Cardinals Insider. I'm Ozzie Smith. The Baseball Hall of Fame welcomed a new class on September 8th. There was a Cardinal flavor to the event because Ted Simmons and Larry Walker both spent time in St. Louis. Here's some moments from Induction Day.
There are many roads to Cooperstown. One look at this very special group behind me makes that clear. For some, it comes quickly, and for others, it takes a little time. For those like myself, the path is long, and even though my path fell on the longer side, I would not change a thing. Our game is about wins and losses, but after 50 years of organized baseball, I've learned that it's so much more. Baseball is about all the names and faces that remain firmly planted in one's memory. It was George Kissel, the Cardinals' Mr. Everything, who had the greatest impact on me. He taught me fundamental baseball and how to play to win. I also learned from George how to win and lose with grace. He gave me my first taste of humility. Nobody came through the Cardinals organization to St. Louis without Kissel's blessing. Nobody. And his blessing had to be earned.
And finally, the St. Louis Cardinals. I only spent a little over a year in your uniform, but you made me feel like it was many, many more. It was a thrill every time I wore the birds on the bat jersey and every time I took the field in front of that sea of red. Thank you, Cardinal Nation, for welcoming me into your family.
When the St. Louis Cardinals selected me first in the June 1967 draft, they brought me into their historic and very successful baseball family. The Milwaukee Brewers became my second baseball family. They embraced me and immediately made me one of their own. Next came the Atlanta Braves, followed by the Pittsburgh Pirates, Cleveland Indians, San Diego Padres, and the Seattle Mariners. I have spent lots of time in all of these baseball families, and they have affirmed and included me. So I have lived within many families and am about to step into baseball's most elite family. And I am incredibly humbled. And of course, Marianne, my partner, my companion, my equal. She remains the same girl that listened with me not so long ago to the lyrics written by some pretty fabulous folks back in the day. And those words, and in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. Peace and love, sweetheart. We finally got here. Thank you all.
Going into Cooperstown was just the latest milestone for Ted. Earlier this year, he had his number retired and was given a statue outside Busch Stadium. Harry Weber sculpted the new addition to the corner of 8th and Clark. In fact, he's responsible for all the statues. Here's what it took to cast Simba.
Mr. Dewitt.
Ted, at this time, we are pleased to have you pull off the cover and reveal your new statue.
It's always a little nerve-wracking. You want to make sure you got it right. And in this particular case, at least we had Ted's hair to work with, so that that worked out great, but I think we got everything right. You're true to the person only insofar as representing the truth of a single moment, particularly the case of athletes. So you want to capture that intensity that they would have in like Red Shanedean's turning a double play, or Gibson, my favorite, delivering a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, hopefully not at somebody's head. And with Ted Simmons, the picture here is Bill Dewitt and I picked out one that would show him just leaning into a pitch, about to hit a triple. That's a pretty exciting moment to capture. So I have a great affinity for him because beyond being a baseball player, he's an art collector and very knowledgeable about that. And so I did want to get him right. Every artist has his own style, and I just love things that move. And I love things that are a little bit gritty. I want some movement and emotion and play in it. You can tell, I think, looking from Ted's face, that he's thinking about hitting a pitch. And there's immense concentration and effort on that thing. Making a bronze statue has not changed very much in 2,000 years. We make them the same way they used to. I would say that a third of the time in making a statue, which takes anywhere from 6 to 9 months, is me doing the original sculpting. The rest of it is mold making and casting and welding and finishing. So there's an awful lot of skilled labor involved that's not just me. I've got a team I've worked with for 25 years. And the last thing we do is put a patina on it, or in the color of the bronze. And you can see that Ted Simmons is a little lighter than these other guys that have been sitting out here for 20 years getting the acid from the air in St. Louis that makes him a little bit darker every year. So he'll get there. It continues to be the fun of a lifetime. I've got a great fun job, and I hope that there are more Cardinals that I get to do.
Straight ahead on Cardinals Insider.
This is almost like a dream come true.
A group of students got to conduct a once-in-a-lifetime interview with a Cardinals legend. Also coming up,
we had good teammates, and that was the one thing I really enjoyed.
My former teammate Lee Smith is talking baseball at the Cardinals Insider desk. All that and more ahead, so stay with us. In one of our early episodes, we told you about the St. Louis Summer Stories video camp. 2021 was its second year partnering with the Cardinals to give area students one-of-a-kind storytelling opportunities. This year, that included a sit-down with Ted Simmons.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Ted Simmons was incredible. When we heard about this opportunity, we were like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. And again, for Don and I, it's just as exciting as it is for the kids, just growing up and hearing stories about Ted Simmons. He played in an era after, before I was a Cardinals fan, but I always knew the history and always listened through KMOX and through the Cardinals and seeing Ted Simmons. But to be able to actually meet him today was super special.
Yeah, oh my gosh, what I just got to do was amazing. Ted Simmons, he's a legend, and being a 17-year-old, I'm nothing in this world, and I get to interview an amazing legend. It's just crazy to see how this program can get us opportunities like that.
It's so incredible to talk to somebody with such rich, deep experiences that are complicated, that are challenging, that they've overcome at a young age. And that's what we're trying to introduce to these students, is to be able to give them an opportunity to jump right in, to be able to pull the phone out in their pocket and to be able to create videos right away and then take feedback and to be able to learn how to be able to construct that and do that in their own way. And a lot of times they're very fearful about that, but they just need to go through iterations. They need to go through that experience. And it's exactly what Ted talked about, is that those were really difficult moments, but also he had to juggle. He had to make things happen at a young age.
So this is almost like a dream come true. I've had a camera in my hand since I was born. So I'd love to be able to do this as a career full time. I'm just super passionate about it. I love editing videos and just being able to use and do what I love. It's amazing.
They interviewed a legend, and I talked to him after, and I said, it doesn't matter what the subject or content matter is. You just prepared and sat down and conducted yourself as a professional with a man who's going to go down in St. Louis history as a legend, with a statue outside the stadium and a retired number. And so you can interview anybody. And they were high-fiving and fist pumping. And for me as an educator, that was the win right there.
Probably the biggest thing that stuck out to me was just how he was juggling being in the military, being in school, and a baseball player all at the same time. I can't even do my homework on time sometimes, and he's doing all of that. It's just crazy.
So the research that the kids accomplished unfolded in front of their eyes, but not in a way that was like question and answer. It was through story, which is what we're trying to teach them. It's telling visual stories. and he gave answers in story. He didn't give answers as fact, like we were interrogating him, and we prepped them for that, to have it be a conversation, and he lent itself right to that beautifully. And I know they won't forget that.
In just a bit,
The defense behind you, that helps so much, give you so much confidence.
my former teammate Lee Smith is talking baseball at the Cardinals Insider Desk. That story straight ahead. Lee Smith built the foundation of his Hall of Fame career in Chicago, but his 3+ years in St. Louis will always be remembered fondly by Cardinal fans. He came through St. Louis recently and sat down at the Insider Desk with our Brett McMillan.
Well, it's always good to have Cardinals alumni here at the Cardinals Insider Desk, but it's especially good to have a National Baseball Hall of Famer, and that's what we have in Lee Smith. Lee, welcome back to St. Louis. It's been a little bit. Just what's it like to be here?
Hey, man, I tell you what, it's been awesome. I just don't get back here enough. This city and really just the whole area reminds me so much of myself. Sort of laid back, man. But I tell you what, I miss the days here.
Yep. I was reading that you really enjoyed playing for another Hall of Famer when you were here in St. Louis, Joe Torre. Early 90s, you had some crossover with Joe. What did you like about playing for Joe?
Well, Joe was like, he said that I ambled to the mound, and I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I guess I was doing it right. But you know what? He just had that look on his face, man. You want to make sure you get it right the first time. But we had a good ball club. The team, really, we didn't go very far, to my expectation and probably the Cardinals' expectation. But we had good teammates, and that was the one thing I really enjoyed playing here.
You were the all-time franchise saves leader for the Cardinals for almost 15 years. You still are for the Chicago Cubs. What's that mean to you to hold those records or to have held them here in St. Louis?
Longevity, man. Being able to be there when the manager call you, hey, you tell Lee's in the game. I'm like, that's all he wanted to hear. I'm like, yeah, I'm out there, man. But really, you just think about all the things that we had to go through, the information we didn't have that the guys have now. Would love to have some of that, but I think you get too much information to the guys sometimes.
How do you balance using your strengths versus maybe keying in on the hitter's weaknesses and doing what you need to do to get them out?
I cheated, man. I went to the hitters meeting. But you know what? I always would go and talk to the good hitters. It started with me, my days young with the Chicago Cubs. I used to go and talk to Billy Williams about hitting and what he looked for in key situations and what he tried to do with the ball, do with a certain pitch. That's what I did. I really understood letting the hitter get the self out. But I think now we have more throwers and pitchers.
There's something about those final 3 outs. It's hard to quantify. They're just different than the other outs in the game. And you were famous for that scowl that you would stare in there. Was that on purpose, or was that just naturally you being locked in?
Trying to get locked in, but that was me. I wanted to make sure I get it right. You know what, man? The defense behind you, that helps so much, give you so much confidence. So I wasn't thinking about trying to be a strikeout pitcher. And I think now guys are thinking more about striking guys out other than letting the defense help them. I had a guy behind me, gave me pretty good confidence. Yep, got Mr. Ozzie Smith, Mr. William McGee, and then when Ray Langford came in, you didn't have to just try to strike out the side. Make them pitch and make the ball, guys hit the ball and let them play for you.
You were coming in an era where the modern closer was kind of becoming a thing. I saw a stat, it was almost 60 or 70% of your appearances were multi-inning at the beginning of your career. Just 17% were here in St. Louis. So by the end, you were getting the ball for 1 inning. Was that, I guess it was different for you, but how was it different to be called on for maybe 6 outs compared to 3?
Well, you learn how to pitch. You don't go out there and just say, hey, throw the ball as hard as you can for an inning. You learn how to pitch, and I think that was really the key to my success. And, building up arm strength because, 162 games, a lot of people don't realize how many games those guys have to play, man. But to really learn as you get in there and learning your body and making sure that you have enough in the tank at the end. So I would cut back on how much I throw on the side, how much I throw when I warm up, especially if I warm up in that 7th and 8th inning and then even go in the game. So that was the thing you had to learn.
He's one of the greatest ever to do it at the end of a ball game. He's Lee Smith. I'm Brett McMillan, and that's all for right now here at the Cardinals Insider Desk.
In just a bit,
Cardinals are definitely a number one type of motif that just shows up throughout my work.
A local artist celebrates African-American heritage by creating his own version of the iconic Cardinals hat. That story straight ahead. Rox Seals is a St. Louis-based artist and musician. He designed a special Cardinal hat for the theme giveaway at Busch Stadium's African American Heritage Night. Here's more on his design and the process for this one-of-a-kind item.
When we started to design the hat, I looked at old Negro League baseball uniforms. So of course I thought to do St. Louis Stars, but you know, the Cardinals color scheme is red. So I was like, I want to kind of honor, you know, what's going on now with the past. So I looked at the Monarchs. I seen that they had a white and red color scheme. And then a lot of the hats back in the day used to have this little white front. So to keep that in mind, I kept the white in the front. I did a solid black STL. And to honor, you know, my decorations, my design, I went with my signature pattern. Well, it's funny, before we even made this collaboration happen, I had so much Cardinal artwork. I'm a huge fan. I used to play baseball back in the day. And you already know, St. Louis Cardinals are just like a staple to the city. So I paint, I'm inspired by my city. So a lot of things that I paint have to do with St. Louis, anything inspired by St. Louis, or, you know, anything that has to do with the city. So Cardinals are definitely a #1 type of motif that just shows up throughout my work. So I really didn't have to work it in. It's a part of me, you know? We reached out to him on Instagram. He was a DM away, and we linked up, did the cleats, met him. He's super cool dude, down to earth. It means everything. Like, I know people who have this tattooed on them, you know. I mean, you and I both know that this is legendary, it's iconic, you know. So for me to be from St. Louis and to do it, I feel like it was a good pick, you know. You got a St. Louis native working on a St. Louis staple, so it's only gonna make something dope.
We'll have coverage of the 2011 reunion later this year, but we're taking a few minutes now to look back at that magic ride as told by Mike Shannon.
3-2 delivery, on its way. Swing and a high drive to center field. Get up, baby, get up, baby, get up. This series is tied 3-3 with a walk-off home run here in the bottom of the 11th inning. The Cardinals win it 10-9. Phenomenal. Just fantastic. What a night. What an evening of baseball. This one will go down in history as an all-timer. Unbelievable. A leadoff home run by David Freese. He tied it with a 2-run triple in the bottom of the 9th. He wins it here in the 11th. 0-1 delivery. Here she comes. Swinging a high drive into left. Back goes to Craig. He's at the track. He has it, and the Cardinals are world champion for 2011. They came from nowhere to astound the baseball world. They win this one 6-2, and they're world champions for 2011.
And still to come, you ask, I answer. It's Ask Ozzie after the break. It's time for this week's Ask Ozzie. Don in Ottumwa, Iowa asks, what was your favorite part of the Field of Dreams when you were there a couple years ago? Coming out of the cornfield with all of the guys being portrayed as mythical was a great experience. It was a lot of fun for any baseball fan. That's a must visit. You know, you must get up there and see what it's like, because it really is a throwback in time, and it just warms the heart to have been a part of that. It would have been a joy to have the opportunity to play there and experience what it would be coming out of the cornfield with fans and Major League Baseball fans from all over the country. Thanks for the question, Don. If you want to submit a question, head to cardinals.com/insider and click the Ask Ozzie tab. There's more still to come here on Cardinals Insider, so don't go anywhere. '21 will be noted as Nolan Arenado's first season in St. Louis. He's dazzled with the glove and created signature moments with the bat. Here's a collection of some of the best plays from his inaugural season in St. Louis.
I just grew in love with the sport. You know, I just love doing it.
When I walk in, it's a celebration. Welcome to St. Louis, Nolan. When I walk in, it's a celebration. An opening day home run. 'Cause I'm big time. Just brought a new one. Oh, he got it. Oh, what a play.
It's an unbelievable job. So many people, I'm so fortunate to play it.
Busting out the speakers 'cause I'm big time. At the wall. Gone. 4 games in a row for Nolan. Cause I'm big time. Throw, and he got him.
I thank God I'm a Cardinal, and I've been loving it.
Arenado. I'm big time. Just brought it. Nolan has tied it up. 5-5. Diving stop, Arenado from his knees. Oh, he's done it again.
There's only been like maybe 20,000 major leaguers ever in the history of the game, and to be one of them is special.
And Arenado to the plate, the tag, got him. And it stays 1-0 on a terrific play by Nolan Arenado. 'Cause I'm big time. His first home run against his former team. You know he's loving it.
The competition, you know, the intensity of the game, how hard it is, how humbling it is, all those little things I love.
Arenado, bare hands, throws to first base. He got him. Unbelievable. Arenado, he's tied the game. Nolan comes through.
You know, I want this to last as long as I can, so I'm going to give everything I have.
Just swing and a drive. That's a home run. A home run for Nolan Arenado. Arenado steps on the bag. Across the diamond, double play. This guy is something else. 'Cause I'm big time.
That's it for today. You can watch on this station each week or catch full episodes on YouTube. Plus, we're always online at cardinals.com/insider. Until next time, I'm Ozzie Smith, and I'll see you next week.